so tell me about Empire Strikes Back. So there's a period of your life led up to that, or that anticipation when you first heard it was going to happen, and what was your first memories of hearing about it or wanting to see it, which I'm sure you did.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so just start with that.
Okay, well, I always think of Empire as being like the perfect storm, but just because with Star Wars there was no prep. There's nothing to prepare you for what Star Wars was, and so Star Wars was a complete surprise. And Star Wars happened, and you had this backdrop, you had the premise for this sequel, and you were hungry for more. But this is in a period of time before the internet, so there's no instant access to information like there is now. You know, there's no YouTube, there's no sharing of images, or shooting images of the movie being shot. Like, people watch YouTubes of the making of movies before they even released. This is kind of a way to promote the movies now, but back then it was literally just anything you can glean from magazines, basically, or from the TV. But that was it. And so going into Empire, you're completely blind. The only thing I did have visually was just before I went to see the movie, we went to Romford, which is what kind of like the big town that you went into to go and see the movies. Going to Romford. So I went to Romford, and my mum bought me this poster. It was a poster that opens out. It's all folded up, but every page, so it's like 10 pages, had a little. It's like a page of a magazine. And so just before I went into the movie, I had this poster, and suddenly I had all this. Was privy to all this information, visual information that I hadn't seen before. And so I'm looking at this poster, and it shows a picture of Yoda. I'd never seen Yoda ever before. So, holy shit, this guy's in the movie. He didn't look like he fit. I couldn't see. I find that happens a lot now when I see images of characters, creatures from movies coming out, and you see the still image and it seems dead and inanimate, and as soon as you see it on the big screen, like Yoda, prime example, I saw this picture and it looked like a puppet. It looked like an elaborate Muppet, and didn't seem real, didn't look real, and I was kind of almost like disappointed when I saw Yoda. I was like, oh, this doesn't look very good. It doesn't look like Star Wars. And obviously that changed when I saw Yoda, and he was completely real. It wasn't a puppet. It was a real live 900-year-old Jedi master. But yeah, going into Empire, I was completely blind. I mean, I had seen images of certain things. Like we saw an image of I saw an image of a Tauntaun, and I thought, what the hell is that? That looks amazing. This looks like a running bipedal dinosaur, which was kind of my world when I was growing up. Dinosaurs covered in fur. We hadn't seen the Walkers. I hadn't seen Cloud City or anything to do with that. I had seen Boba Fett, obviously. Boba Fett was one of the few things that were released. Obviously, because that's what started the obsession with that character. But going into Empire, I remember looking at this poster magazine and just having all this sudden flood of visual information that I couldn't process in time because we were going to see the movie. I mean, I was looking at the line took forever, but it didn't have any bearing on me because I was completely absorbed by this, trying to digest this pamphlet, before I went in. But yeah, I always think of Empire as being the perfect storm just because it had such a huge setup. I mean, we went to see Star Wars, and Star Wars was the door in, and you're waiting to see Empire, and already you had set Empire, the bar, like I was talking about earlier, the bar is set so high. This is where Empire begins, you know, because you didn't care as long as it was more of the same. It started here, and it turned out they just raised the bar, you know, so high. I didn't expect it to be that high. I didn't expect to be that shocked at what Darth Vader could be, how ruthless he could be. You know, I expected it to be a repeat of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ben. You know, oh yes, I was the student, now I'm the master, and you know, it's all very elegant and very sportsman. You know, we're going to duel. We're going to have dueling masters. We're going to sort this out. We're going to Queen's rules and all that, you know. But in Empire, he came out, you know, and scared the living crap out of everyone. He just came out swinging, and he just wanted to end Luke, like end him there and then. You know, and it was scary as hell. And then, you know, when he's beaten up and messed up, and he's had his hand chopped off, and then, you know, he drops that clanger of the father. It's like, you know, physical abuse, and they're going to mess with your head as well. And so everything in Empire just took everything from Star Wars and elevated it that much more. So going in, I was completely unprepared for anything. It wasn't like trailers of today where they show the whole movie and you know, or you can, you know, go on YouTube and look at a trailer you might have missed. If you missed the trailer, you missed the trailer. And so my expectation level was high because of Star Wars, but all it was, you know, wonder. You know, I didn't have anything to back it up apart from these images just before I entered the theatre, and that was it. So it was a completely different beast to Star Wars, and that's probably why Empire is my favourite movie, and the favourite movie for a lot of people is because of that reason. They'd already set it up on this high shelf, like whatever you can give me, I'll accept. Just keep it coming, you know. And so it'd be interesting to do a Mystery Science Theatre one time, remembering those surprises, because that's what Empire was. It was so many surprises, good surprises, bad surprises, like that nightmare sequence. I mean, you weren't ready for it, and when it happened, you thought it was the end of Luke. I thought Luke's dead, you know. When Han gets encased in carbonite, in carbonite, it's even better than carbonite. When Han gets encased in carbonite, you think that maybe that's the end of Han, and that, you know, maybe he's out of the movie now, maybe he's dead. And then, you know, he checks him. Oh, he's still alive and in perfect hibernation. And like, phew. Now what? You know, because the end of Empire, you're like, Luke's been beaten up. He's given, you know, he's had his backside handed to him by Darth Vader, like beaten emotionally, physically. Han's gone. The Rebel fleet are on the run. They got nowhere to hide. Their one good base, it was no good, you know. Everything was very, very dark, and like, what's gonna happen in the next movie? And Return of the Jedi didn't have the same impact as Empire, because I guess we'd already had a second meal. You know, we'd already had that. We'd been into a movie once with this kind of premise. I guess it was elevated in some ways, but because it was Act.III and you knew everything was going to tie up, it didn't have that same harshness that Empire had. And, you know, there's lots of talk at the moment about the next movie coming out, which is Ep.VIII, and the trailer came out and everyone's reacting to it like it's really dark. It's what's she doing? Whose side is she on? Which side is she going to choose? Luke seems to be even scared of her, and my feeling is that that's exactly what this movie needs to be, because you came out of Empire with this feeling of everything's lost. How can anything be saved now? You know. Yeah, as far as I can remember, Empire was, for me, I was with my cousin Steve, and we had good seats, as opposed to Star Wars when we were up in the bleachers. For Empire, we were fairly near the front, too near the front. In hindsight, you know, now that I'm a movie snob, but we were up the front. But in some ways, it was better because it was like, Hoth was like on top of us. You know, it was larger than life. It was the opposite of. I think we may have got it right the third time when we saw Jedi, but yeah, I can't remember too much. Because that period of time of my life, it was a lot of turmoil, and I think the other reason is because you couldn't keep up. The surprises were coming one after the other. It was like non-stop. It was like bam, bam. It's like being in a boxing ring, but all good stuff, and that's what makes it kind of resonate with me so much today. It still is my favorite movie, and I think it always will be.